It's right leg and left leg. So just like the regular squat, the important points to remember in the pistol: number one, keep your heel planted, and you want to try to keep that maintained throughout the entire movement, and try not to let the knee drift too far forward. So just like in the regular two-legged squat, you want to send the hips back and down to initiate the movement, and that's where people run into a lot of problems with the pistol, is they try to go too vertical in their movement, where you really have to send the hips back, shoot them way back, almost like you're sitting on a bench behind you. That's the number one most important thing about the pistol. If you try to come straight down vertically, the knee starts to jut forward, the heel comes off, and you lose a lot of the power that you're capable of. It's just not possible. So send the hips way back, weight on the heel, drive through the entire time, and back up. So there's a couple of different methods you can use to build up to a full pistol. Obviously, you want to be able to be very confident in your two-legged squat before you start working on this skill. It can take a lot of toll on the knee and the ankle if you don't have sufficient flexibility there, so take the time to work up to it slowly. A couple of different ways if you don't have access to a partner and you're working on your own. So the first method, and probably the easiest way to start working on the pistol, is to just get a slightly elevated surface that you can work on. Start up at the top, and this kind of negates the necessity to have your leg sticking straight out, which can be a really difficult part of the pistol. And from here again, we're just trying to keep the weight on the heels, initiate by sending the hips back, coming down until you touch the floor, and right back up. Try to eliminate the use of the right leg at all. So try to avoid weighting that leg when you touch the ground and stepping off of it to return. Try to come down just until you can touch the ground without weighting it, and step back up, okay? As you progress, I move the big box in? Yeah, absolutely. As you progress, you can start to increase the range by standing up on taller and taller objects. So go ahead and stand tall and start at the top because it mimics the movement of the pistol the best. Again, weight on the heel, sending the hips back, coming down until you can touch the ground and return. Okay? So that's probably the easiest way to start developing a pistol and the safest. Once you feel fairly comfortable with that and you've established that your ankle flexibility is sufficient enough that you can keep your heel down, things are working well, you can work on fixed object pistols, which can really help develop the skill because it mimics the motion almost identically. So here I'm going to grab onto a corner of a hallway or a door jamb or whatever I've got available. Even hanging rings work really well if you put them down about chest height. And I'm just going to use this as a little bit of support to pull me out if I get stuck. So I come down, try to find a good depth. If I get stuck, I just use my upper body to help pull me out, paying special attention to try to keep my heel on the ground the entire movement. So just because I have access to my arms pulling me, don't let it get you out of position and pull you onto your toes, okay? So same deal, standing tall, chest is nice and open, sending my hips down and back, weighting the heel. If I get stuck, just pull myself out, okay? The third method that you can do to start working on the pistol is with a partner. So when you're working on the partner pistol, there's a nice, easy little progression you can do to start working on the balance. And that can be a real difficult challenge for a lot of people once they start to develop the strength. Developing the body awareness and the balance can be a whole different animal. So doing it with a partner gives you a little bit more of the tactile feedback for how much you're actually balancing yourself. So to start off, you're just going to grab wrist to wrist with your partner, and they're going to take an offset stance just so that they have a little bit of a better base of support. You're going to choose which leg you're going on. Same deal, you're sitting down and back, and your partner's just there as a little bit of stability. If you get stuck, you can pull yourself back out, okay? So once you get comfortable with that, you've established that you're fine up and down with two hands. Partner's doing a lot of the balancing for you. You can start working on the single hand Beastmaster grip here, where you've got one leg out and one arm. Gives you a little bit more room to maneuver and balance on your own. Same deal, if you get stuck, you can lean on your partner a little bit to help get you out of the hole, okay? Once you've established that, you can start working on what we call the buddy spot, where Pat's here waiting for me, and I've got him there. I know that mentally he's there. If I start to lose my balance or start to lose control, I can grab him and help myself out, okay? If I'm successful, I can come down and all the way up, I'm good to go, okay? So an easy little partner progression. That's kind of nice to work on with two people because, again, you get that balance and kind of tactile feedback from the partner. Oh, yeah. So yeah, you can also get into these fun little games. And again, the Beastmaster grip, very important here. So
Very important.
Very important. Where Pat's going to put his right leg out, I'm going to put my right leg out, and we're both going to go at the same time. Okay, and back up, and we can kind of help each other out. And you can get into all sorts of fun games that way.
What about weighted?
Weighted works too. Okay, so once you start getting comfortable with the pistol and you've worked yourself up to being able to do them freestanding without a partner, you can start to make things a little bit more interesting by weighting them. Keep in mind, just like any weighted movement, you want to make sure that you're solid with the unweighted first and your technique is where it should be before you start getting too crazy. And especially in the pistol, I find that when you start to develop the pistol, the tendency to relax in the bottom is really prominent. So people will come down and just kind of get stuck in the bottom and relax and have to regenerate this tension to stand back up. And that can be maybe not the best idea when you're starting to get into the weighted variations of this. The knee joint can take a lot of the brunt of that action if you're not staying nice and solid with the musculature. So make sure that you retain that tension all the way down, keep it, and stand back up. You can use the analogy, it's like pulling an elastic band tight and then letting it back as you return. So here I'm creating all that tension, pulling the elastic band tight and letting it go to stand back up. So don't lose that tension when you get to the bottom position. It can be potentially bad in the long run. So once you start to get comfortable, there's a couple of different ways you can weight the pistol. Out in front is kind of nice. It also gives you a little bit of counterbalance. Some people have an easier time with a slightly weighted pistol than a freestanding one, just due to the physics of the action. It'll help to cantilever you a little bit and get you into the bottom position a little better. So same deal, weight on the heels, shooting the hips back, trying to remain as tense as I can all the way down and up, and not relaxing when I get to the bottom position, okay? So this kind of weight at the chest position can be a nice, easy introduction to the weighted pistol, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, just go ahead. Food?
Yep. So if you don't have access to kettlebells, dumbbells work really well in that nice kind of rack position at the front. That way you don't have to deal with being offloaded on one side or the other, which is great, but maybe not in the beginning. After you start to get used to that, you can start loading up one side and experiment with loading up the off side and that sort of thing to create a little bit more challenge. But in the beginning, try to load yourself up evenly. It makes it a little bit easier. Not much, but a little bit. Okay. Does that still count?